relax, and enjoy. So, step one, sunscreen up always when you're outside. If you're looking for more sunscreen tips, my intern Matthew, he's going to be doing a sunscreen webinar soon. So, make sure you get the nice thick look on here, the nice in the nose. Make sure you don't rub it in, because for some reason when you're barbecuing, you're going for that dad vibe. You don't rub in the nose sunscreen. So that's phase one. Get that sunscreen on. I've got a buff on today. It's going to protect my neck for that sunscreen too. And I don't have water outside, so if you are outside, it's always good to have hand sanitizer. I also take some camping with me, so we want to hand sanitize after our good sunscreen, rub it on the oils on our face, get all that sunscreen off, get that nice burn on. If you have any cuts in there, you know that feels good. And then I've got a towel out here as well, so if you want to wipe those hands off, if you're inside, of course, you can just go ahead and wash your hands as well. We want to wipe our hands off because we don't want our chicken to taste like that. So I've got a smoker, is what I'm going to be using today as my cooker. And then, oh yeah, listen to that. I'll get real close in there. Ooh, sounds good. So I've preheated this already. It takes a little bit for the pellets to feed in. If you are using a barbecue, you're just going to go ahead and start that barbecue up. You got to get out your handy dandy lighter, of course. Flick it around a few times, get a nice twirl on. I tried this one earlier, dropped it like 4 times. We'll save the spin moves for my pinchers, but we're going to start that up. It takes a little bit for it to get to temperature. For me, I'm doing about 350 in here. I've actually started 2 of my kabobs already. So while we're chopping, those are going to be cooking. So we can do that nice stage where we pull the done ones out and we'll put those new ones in. That way we're not hanging out here waiting for me to cook the chicken. And especially with chicken, another thing you might want to have is a temperature gauge. So I have this one. We have one that hooks up to our smoker, but hooks up to my husband's phone. So I'm sure he didn't want to be texting me what temperature the chicken was while he's at work. So just having an external one is always good, especially with chicken. We really want to make sure we get it up to that chef temp that we're looking for. And I've got my little chart over here. Let me just quick check what that chef temp is. So for chicken, I believe it's 160. But I'm going to find it right here in our chicken, chef temp 165. So we always want to make sure we bring it up to that temperature. All right, looks like we've got all the prep work out. I'm going to go ahead and start to make those kabobs. So what I did, of course, prepping for this today, something you can do, is I cut up the chicken already. I didn't want to be doing that outside. And what I did was I put those ingredients, we'll make them mix together, and I actually soaked it overnight. I think it just makes the chicken a little bit more tender throughout the day, especially for me. I like to buy the chicken breasts. We go to Costco and get kind of that big one. So I want to make sure that those are nice and tender. Sometimes the breasts aren't the most tender. I have heard some people use some chicken thighs as well as a little bit more flavorful chicken. So whatever you like to use for your chicken. And also Ethan and Stephanie are backing me up today. So if you have any ideas or thoughts you want to share with everybody, just go ahead and put it in that chat box. I won't be able to see those lovely messages until afterwards, but I will be sure to check them out later. So Stephanie and Ethan are on it today. So I've already chopped up that chicken, but now we're going to do what we would do if we were mixing that up. So we're going to take 1/4 of a cup of this tamari sauce. It was in the recipe. I'm going to come back up to show you. So I brought it at Sprouts yesterday. This is what it is. All it is soy sauce. And Stephanie is going to put in the chat box right now 2 pictures of some alternatives. This one I bought just the regular one. There was also right next to it a low sodium option, so you can get the low sodium option. I know my husband always complains if we do too much Asian food that it's like really salty. So there is some low sodium options. Coconut aminos is one that you can also use. That was in the recipe that listed aminos. So that's what that is. It's just a gluten-free alternative. And then there is one that she's posting in there as well that is a no soy alternative. I forgot to look at what the ingredients for that one was, but I'm assuming it's just that similar flavor, kind of the crushed sesame working in there to make that nice kind of Asian flavor that we're looking for. So I'm going to take 1/4 of a cup of this. And I actually, in my measuring cup here, outdoor one, have that already. So I'm just going to take 1/4 of a cup of this sauce. Whatever one you're choosing today works good. And then we're going to do the rest up with pineapple juice. Hot tip, you can use just canned pineapple. I personally hate cutting up pineapple. I think it's just like a hassle. So I went and bought the pineapple chunks. They didn't have pineapple in the can at Sprouts. So you can buy the pineapple chunks itself and then separate pineapple juice. If you are using the can, Safeway, King Supers, wherever you are at the marketplace, you can use just canned pineapple and it comes chopped up already. Tip for that though, don't get the one that is in that corn syrup. Make sure it's in 100% juice because we're going to use that juice to make a sauce. So the rest we're going to fill up here. So another fourth of a cup with your pineapple juice. This is just plain pineapple juice. Nothing fancy here. I've just kind of taken that step out of cutting up the pineapple. I've seen some tricks on the internet, on Instagram these days, where people roll it out and then they get the little cubes out. They roll it and they can pull it out. If you haven't seen that, check it out. It's kind of interesting. I haven't tried it myself yet, but I'm curious to know if it works. If somebody has done that, go ahead and put it in the chat box and say how it worked. I feel like it's just as much work to pick out each of those little pieces myself. So we've got our chicken, and then with this sauce, with those cube chicken pieces, you're going to pour that sauce in here. I'm going to save this one because I'm going to pour it on top of my kebabs with my little brush here. So I'm going to add extra flavor in. Sometimes with the smoker, you can get dried out because you're cooking for a longer amount of time. And most smokers, you may not know this, they can go up to a higher temperature. So ours, I think, can go up to 400 still. So you don't need a separate smoker and barbecue. If you're looking to get that smoker, just go ahead and get that, and then you'll save space. You don't need the grill necessarily. So that's what I've done today. I've turned it up to 350. So let's go ahead and start to cut our vegetables together. And I've got two colored peppers. I got a red pepper and a green pepper today. With my red pepper and green pepper, I've also got a, what color is this? Purple onion. So I've got all these nice colors we're going to put into our kebabs. And with these kebabs, you can use green peppers. I know they're a little bit more affordable. Personally, I like the way that the red and the yellow peppers taste better. Totally a personal preference though. Also something we're going to need today, sharp knife. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to prep all our ingredients on here on our chopping board. I've got my pineapple chunks already and then my chicken. I do have a separate plate and fork for my chicken. I don't want to be sticking my fingers in the chicken and then cutting up my vegetables because if you want to save some of your peppers, like I'm not going to cut up all of these peppers and onions, then there's going to be that chicken kind of cross contamination. So we want to keep a utensil for just the chicken and a plate for our raw chicken. We don't want to be. And again, that's why we got our hand sanitizer out here today, making sure we're not getting any of that germs from our chicken onto our fresh veggies. So let's start by using our knife to devein our peppers. So doing that, we're just going to cut the tops off. And my knife is too hot to touch, everybody. That's how warm it is out here today. So I'm going to get my sweat towel wherever I put it. There we go. And I'm going to use that to cut up my pepper. So just cutting out the tops here. And then that's what you get. You get all the seeds, and you're just going to move that over the side. That doesn't really make a kebab. I've seen a few people replant this, and then it grows, and you can make your own peppers. Not sure how well it works. I actually did it with an avocado. So I have an avocado in my bathtub now because I think I'm on year 2 or 3. I'm supposed to get an avocado after year 3, so I might be making my own avocados here in Colorado in my bathtub. So we'll have to see how that works out. With your chopping, you're just going to go along the length of the pepper all the way down. And you don't want to make these too small because we're going to have to thread them onto our kebab holders. So I've made half of my pepper into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And then I'm going to piece those in half. I'm going to come up close, scooch that nice Playmate cooler out of the way. And we're going to have peppers about this big. So see this white part? We're also going to cut that out and away from it. So we want to get rid of that. It's not bad. You can eat it. Doesn't taste like anything. So just removing those is going to give you a little bit more of that pepper flavor and less of that plain flavor. So if you've got any of those white kind of veins in the jalapenos, that's where the really spicy part comes from. In our bell peppers, they're not really any flavor to that part. So we just want to get rid of that anti-flavor. Cutting these portions in half now. Good. And then in half again. I've got a big vein in this one, so I'm actually going to cut that out. And I'm just scooching my peppers over to the side. Once I've removed my onion and pepper from over here, I'm going to use this as kind of my plating area where all my ingredients are coming from. This is a great way for you to eat a lot of vegetables. My husband is kind of like a little kid and doesn't really like to eat vegetables. So if I put them on a stick, same with kids, sometimes he thinks I'm like fooling him or something. I pounded it, there's meat inside of the kabobs so it drowns out the flavor of the vegetables or something, but I can usually convince him to eat kabobs. And I've heard, I don't have kids myself, that if you put food on a stick, it's like entertaining. So it's like a whole fun way for them to eat. I didn't bring any zucchinis to our barbecue today, but I've heard you can use the zucchinis as well. Sometimes, you go to the store and you look at the zucchinis and they're just not what you want them to be. So I've cut up my yellow pepper. Go ahead and bring out that red pepper now. And I've removed my things out of the bowl here. So I'm going to use this as a plating area. I've got some ice underneath it. Again, it is roasty toasty today. So we want to be placing our objects in an ice bucket here so that they stay cool. Red pepper, I'm only going to use half of this. I've only got 3 extra kabobs here, so I don't really need to use that much pepper. And I'm home alone for my lunch break today, so somebody's got to eat all these kabobs. Tops, again, we don't need those. Put them in your trash can you've brought. And then we're going to remove the veins, getting that nice red color, and in half. Again, not too small. I have an injury from earlier when I was making it. I cut my onions way too small, and as I was spearing them through, I got a little poke in my fingertip. So be sure you're having big enough pieces that aren't going to cause you any damage. Nice job. And press through. Now's a great time to stop and have a good drink of water. Make sure you're hydrating while you're outside. Very important. Maybe you want to dab that sweat off with your nice sweat towel today. Don't want to get any of that sweat in your barbecue area. If we were over on the grill, you could hear my sweat dripping and sizzling on the grill. Now it's to the onion. I've got sunglasses on, which is really going to help me out. Tricks I've heard, though, is if you refrigerate your onion, it's not going to cause you to cry. Another one is if you keep your hands underneath and you run your hands underwater. Not really sure what that one does, but maybe it's an old wives' tale. Sometimes I think if my mom tells me it, it's true. I don't even look it up. I just believe her. She's wise. She's lived her life. So wider pieces on this onion. Easiest way to do this, I think, feel free. This is a lot of handling of your onion, though. So I'm going to take off an outer layer. Just like Shrek, we're full of layers. So we're going to take off that layer. Then I'm going to cut this layer in half so that I get a really big piece of onion still. So taking off this, look at that great color on that purple onion. Excellent. I got this at Sprouts. Sprouts usually has really good produce. You can sometimes find them at your local farmer's market now that it's summer. At least here in Colorado, we don't usually get the farmer's markets in the winter. So take those big chunks, and again, we're just placing it into our veggie plate over here. Take off a layer, cut that in half. My pineapples aren't going to go into there because they're in a separate container. If you are using that canned pineapple, be careful with the can once you open it. I don't want you to be reaching in there and cut open your hand. So maybe dump that into a separate container just for safety. We want to make sure we're safe here today, right? Good. Cutting those. And then you take off the layer. I'm going to do a few more onions, but other than that, I'm going to save these little bits over here. Maybe I can make these later in the week. This is plenty of ingredients the recipe calls for to probably feed a family of 4, or I guess if you've got a really hungry person in your family, maybe 3 people. I would say for us, we usually have a side with it as well. So this wouldn't be our only thing, but you could make it your only thing because there's plenty of veggies and nutrients in it. So we are going to start to bring our kabobs together. I'm going to check on my ones over here. Maybe they need a quick little turn. All right, hopefully you can see this. Maybe a little bit of adjusting. So I will, where are my flippers at? I was playing with them earlier so much that I probably, oh, they're right up here. Right up here, handy for twirling. So I am going to turn these now. They look like they're ready. Again, I'm on grill mode on my smoker, even though it's usually for slow cooking. You can always get it in. Let's see if I can pick one of these up. This could be a disaster. Who knows? Here we go. Here we go. Nice. Pincher's coming in handy. This is our kebab. This is what I've made. I did pineapple. I did my pepper. I've got my chicken still cooking here. The chicken, I can smell that onion and pineapple. Look at all that nice flavor. All right, we're going to put that back in there. Again, we're waiting for that chicken to come up to that 165 is that safe temperature. So I came over here to tell you about kebab makers. If you like this recipe, and you're going to use this, or in the summer, you are going to make some kebabs. I encourage you to buy these metal ones. The plastic ones would melt, obviously. If you use those wood ones, make sure you soak those overnight. They can catch fire in your grill when you turn it up to a high temperature. So make sure you're soaking those if you're using it. I like to just use these because I know I have them. I don't have to soak them. I can just wash them afterwards. I try to get away from that single-use plastic or wood. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of our planet, caring about it. So if you like these, use the metal ones. So this is what I'll be using today, but be careful. The metal ones are sharp. That's where I cut myself earlier. So we'll get to it and we'll be making these kebabs. Ooh, pause real quick. Sorry about that. I have this sauce that I mixed up in my metal container over here. I'm going to take my brush, just a barbecuing brush, and I'm going to dribble it on top of that chicken. Again, chicken gets a little dry, so I'm going to make sure that we're keeping all this nice flavor in here, and I'm going to dribble it. Ooh, I hope you can hear that sizzling. That is summertime, the sound of summertime. Just soaking that chicken. I'm even going to put it onto my barbecue sauce area of the pineapple, making a nice little flavoring there. So the recipe doesn't actually tell you to separate some and pour it onto your chicken. So this is a live cooking demo extra. This is how you keep it nice and flavorful. Bringing that back, we're going to use that, but this has touched our raw chicken. So it's not going to go onto our cutting board where we keep the fresh chicken. It's going to go over here onto what I like to call the dirty chicken plate here. I also have a clean chicken plate. We're, again, not trying to cross-contaminate here. So pull out that chicken, get out that yucky chicken plate. I mean, the chicken tastes good, but we all know what it's like to cut up chicken. It's not my favorite thing. Separate utensil for that chicken. Again, putting that into the chicken. The easiest way to start a kebab, if you have those wooden ones, you don't have this nice turn either. So I like to use the biggest pepper I have. This is our stopper. So, oh, careful. There we go. This is going to be a trick. Make sure I don't crush my hand the whole thing. This is our stopper. So you're going to use that to hold everything in place. It's going to hold it up nice for you today. Then we're going to start assembling. There's no science to this. On the recipe, it says 1 pepper, 1 onion, 1 pineapple, and then 1 chicken. But as we know, we might want to save some of our pineapple or the peppers, and then the chicken is what we want to cook all of. So be sure to get that out, and then use all the chicken, I would recommend. So if you think, whoa, this kebab's got a lot of veggies on it, be sure to get that nice protein in there from the chicken. Another tip that I did was I soaked my pineapple that I bought pre-cut in my pineapple juice that I bought. So the pineapple is kind of dry. Again, it's hard to get these things in season, especially here. I'm in a landlocked state that I'm good at growing peaches here in Colorado from Palisade, but anywhere else the vegetables are not amazing. So I soaked these, so they're going to be extra rich, and I want that juice from the pineapple in my kebab. Personally, that's my second favorite. That's my favorite part, let's be honest. The pineapple. Then I'd say the chicken would be, and then I'm going to say medium on the onions. My husband thinks that onions count as a vegetable. So when I try to convince him every night, oh, we need a vegetable for our dish, he'll say, onion, there's onion in it. I always think onion kind of is a flavor adder. It's not necessarily counting as a vegetable. Not much fiber once we cook our onions down to a pulp. Pineapple here. Woo! Pineapple got away from me. Good. And again, there's no science in this. We're just adding. I did 2 pineapples here. Earlier I did 2 chickens. So whatever works for us. Good. Placing on. And I'm using that extra utensil again so that my hands are not getting grimy from the chicken. I think we need an onion now. I'm going to bring this over to the camera so we can all see it. Don't worry. Your kebabs will look beautiful. If you are watching this replay, do not worry. You can press pause. I may be going a little bit faster. I've already got 2 done in the oven, so I might be an expert kebab maker by now. I was practicing yesterday and today. Didn't want to spear myself while being on camera. All right, and then the trick to end your kebab here is you want to do that same thing. You want to take a big piece. So I'm going to use this big onion as my stopper on the top. We also want to make sure that our kebabs are not too close together. So if you really squish them and you're really trying to pack them all in, then that's going to be hard for your chicken to cook evenly. We don't want the chicken to be compressed in that top part there and then not getting that cook. So evenly space them out. In fact, I probably went a little overboard here on this kebab. I'm going to space it out just a little bit so that we really space it out. And there we go. That is our kebab. I'm going to place this one onto the smoker. I've got a mental timer here. And then we can do one more. Then I'll probably pull those ones out. The first 30 minutes, we're going to be doing the cooking demo. And then I'll stop the recording, and then we can kind of chit chat at the end too if anybody has any questions. I did touch my chicken though, so I'm going to bring in that hand sanitizer, making sure I'm not getting my pineapple any kind of contaminated or any ways like that. All right, kebab maker. I'm going to use, I like the onion as the top, so I'm going to use the onion as the bottom this one. Onion, I'm going to overload pineapple because for lunch today, I'm feeling like grilled pineapple with a little bit of chicken. Another thing I've seen people do is, obviously once you make the kebab, they don't need to be on the kebabs anymore, you can use this as what my family likes to call is hot salad. So we get kind of spinach, and then we put hot grilled vegetables on there. And it's a nice way for you to incorporate veggies. And raw veggies have more nutrients in them because they're not baking out. But if you like cooked vegetables more, and cooked vegetables are going to get you to eat vegetables more, then cook your veggies. And I know that you're getting that with the salad, the spinach is raw. Sometimes cooked vegetables have a little easier time for us digesting them as well. So for your digestive health, it's definitely a good idea sometimes to incorporate those. I know a lot of people have problems with Christophersons. Those are the broccolis, the kales that are hard to digest. And if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize to anybody who knows how to say it correctly. But I'm like 80-20 on that one, that it's Christophersons. So go ahead. If you've cut your chicken too small, this is an example. This one's not going to be able to make it. It's too small, so that one's going to be saved. I'll have to fry it up in a pan. So be sure when you're doing this, I think the recipe says 1/2-inch cubes. Maybe go to 1 inch, and you just might have to cook them. I'm really loading this one with chicken because I am not going to make another kebab today, and I want to use all that chicken. So we're going to go chicken overload on this one. Another way you can do this is that you could make all your chicken ones on one kebab, and then you could do all your veggies on another one. Maybe have somebody in your family that is a vegetarian as well. Then you're not going to get any of that kind of cross-contamination. And then you can cook your chicken for a full time, the full time that it needs. And then if your veggies are done, you're not worried about, oh man, my pineapple's getting a little dark here. So I'm going to end with a few pineapples on the top. Let's see. Oh, there's one. This is the delicate end one here. I'm going to use my pineapple as my stopper. I'm not even going to go onion at the end here. All right, so I'm going to bring this a little bit closer to you all. Again, I overloaded this one with chicken. There's no science on this. Don't let this stress you out. We got enough stresses through the day. So this is going to be the chicken pineapple. This is the Quincy creation. This is really all the stuff I want. The yummy fruit, the chicken, and then there's 1 pepper and 1 onion for me down there. So going to place this one on our grill. And we are going to start adding in that moisture with the barbecue brush. Wait, time to pause and hydrate. Drink up, my friends. Ice cold water. So I've got my brush out now. I'm getting it a little bit wet. Holds a little bit of moisture in there, and I'm just brushing. Oh man, we lost an onion. Onion down. Good thing I got my pinchers out so I can use that. And this is got chicken, raw chicken on it. So we are not going to be saving any of this sauce. This sauce is then going to go into our receptacle down the sink because we don't want to then be putting this onto anything. So this is chickeny. So we're going to put it in the chicken area over here. I'm going to check the temperature on my ones that I started before you guys even came into class today so that we're able to see what they look like. And again, I've got that temperature reader. It's kind of been sitting in the sun, so I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer to my body so it doesn't register I think somebody before this, I'm in Greeley, said 102. So get a little bit of sweat going on. So it's nice to be outside though. How many jobs can say they get to barbecue? So I'm living the dream here. I'm going to turn on it, and then I'm going to place in the center of the chicken. I want to make sure that I'm not bringing it just to the outside because the internal temperature is what we need to be focusing on. All right, I'm only at 120, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank it up a little bit here. So you may see some smoke coming out, but I'm just going to turn it up a little bit. I turned it to 250 or 350. I apologize. Now I'm going to set it up to a 375 just to get a nice extra sear on that. A way I like to do my steaks, we'll just talk a little bit differently here aside from chicken, is what's called a reverse sear. So I like to sear it on both sides. You can do it on the barbecue or in the cast iron if you're wanting to stay in the air conditioning. And then I cook them in the oven. So what it does is it gets that sear on the top and the bottom, starts that cooking process off, and then it cooks the inside up to that temperature you're looking for. When we're doing steak, it's all about kind of what you're feeling. Maybe you want to do more on the rare side, maybe you want the well done side. My husband likes the rare side. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't like really well done though. So just a fun steak tip while we're out here grilling, and I turn that up. So we will make one more kebab. I've got one more thing, and then we will get to, this one will be a veggie one. Then we will get to sampling the ones that are done. I'm sure once I turn it up, we were pretty close to that temperature. So last kebab here. I got not very much chicken left because I fully loaded that last one with chicken. This one will be the veggie one. So when you're poking it again, watch out for those fingers. Same with Stephanie was cooking last month in our cooking demo, or 2 months ago now, sorry. And she had a very sharp knife and she was doing a julienne style cut, and I was very scared that we were going to see a live finger coming off its hinges. So if I poke myself here, at least with these kebabs, they're pretty safe. Just a flesh wound. Nice job. And then down. And pulling on. This one's for our vegetarian friends out there. This is a really easy recipe if you were to have people over. I myself have a gluten allergy, so this is a gluten-free recipe. That's why we use that tamari sauce. If you want to use soy sauce, it's the same thing. You can find some different gluten-free soy sauces. For some reason, if you look at the light soy sauce, it's gluten-free, but the regular kind is not. Why that doesn't make sense to me, I do not know, but this is a gluten-free recipe. This can also be a vegetarian recipe really easily. So I usually have, if I have people over, go for tacos, but sometimes tacos get a little bit old. So this is a way that you could say, look at all of this. Another ingredient you can use if you're catering to some vegetarian friends is you could use a portobello mushroom. They're really meaty and hearty. You can get those big ones or the smaller ones. You could cut those big ones into fours, and then they're going to just make perfect little skewers on here. The hard part about those portobellos is not overcooking them, because then they get really dense and chewy. Almost went for the chicken. This is our vegetarian one. I myself am not a vegetarian, so I sometimes forget about all the nice veggies. I even like a good black bean burger every now and then, but here we go. Here's our veggie one. This one's going to cook a little less long as the chicken one, so good thing we made this one last. So be mindful of that. We don't want to scorch our purple onions past the point of no return, so we want to place these down on there. We're going to give our chicken one more coat. I'm going to turn it. I keep losing my tongs. There they are. You got to do the twirl, and then we'll flip it. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this. I've got all these kebabs here. Really nice coloring to this recipe. Maybe you're going to make this later in the day so it's not quite so hot out. I don't know. Nowadays you'd be waiting until 9 o'clock to be able to come outside when it's not 80, 90. All right, we're getting our vegetable one. Ooh, something I should say. Depending on how sensitive your vegetarian friends are, we have dipped our brush into the sauce. So if your vegetarian friends and you make a veggie one are really sensitive, be mindful of that. Same thing, I have the gluten allergy, so I feel for the people out there that do. Some of them cannot do the contamination. So if I was to use a soy sauce here and I dipped it and then I placed it and then I had a different one, but I used the same brush, some of our celiac friends out there would have a reaction. So be mindful of that. I know nowadays we all want to be careful of what we're eating, taking care of our bodies, taking care of our gluten-free friends out there. All right, I'm going to turn the chicken one. Let me see if you guys can see this a little bit better. There we go. The vegetable one is not quite ready to turn yet. I'm going to turn my previous ones here back to where they were. Oh, we got an onion down. We lost one onion in there. So we're going to get this guy out. Rogue vegetable. It's going to go into the bad plate. All right, I'm going to show you what you shouldn't do. So this is how small I cut my onions the first time. See how small they are? They're like ones you put on burgers. Do not do that because they just fall through the cracks and then you'll injure yourself. So use what I did the second time around, and I made these big chunks. The big chunks take a little bit longer, but then you don't have them fall through the cracks. So look, we're going to just discard that one right now. I don't want to have to clean that up later. Checking that temperature now. We should be good. Yeah, we've brought it up to about 1. This one is still going. Be sure you make sure you're using the center, like I said, and you hold it in there. Sometimes my thermometer will kick up a little bit. So, good. I'm going to take one of those out, and we're going to do some sampling. This can be a finger food if you're ready for that, or it can be no finger food, and you can take it all off your plate and grab a fork. I'm going to use finger food today because I didn't bring out a fork to my outdoor arrangement here. I'm only going to take that first one off. The second one wasn't quite ready, so we will sample this first one together. These other ones are going to be nice and smoking away inside there. So let's go ahead and try. I'm just really going for the colorful objects. I'm going to get this pepper out. Ooh, look at that, nice. As you can, let's see if I can zoom in here. Oh, there's that sear. If you're grilling instead of smoking, you're going to get a little bit more of that charred look. Since I'm smoking, it's just a different tool. Actually, it's too hot to eat. That would be embarrassing if I tried to eat it and then it was too hot for me to handle. It's not cool enough in today's temp. We're going to pull off a pineapple. And again, you can take these all off of your kebab, or if you want to serve it, it looks cute when you serve it on there. So whatever you're going for. All right, I'm going to go for pineapple. Pineapple seems a little bit more cooled down. Nice sear on that. The sauce that we put on there, bam, amazing. Good taste there. I love it. All right, let's try a pepper, and then an onion. Good thing about working from home, you don't got to worry about your onion breath anymore. All right, pepper time. These cooled off a little bit. This one's a yellow one. I will say, I like the pineapple a little bit better, but it's still good. Great way for us to get our veggies in. I think that a serving of chicken is a deck of cards. So and not the thickness. I mean, I know you get those Sam's Club chicken breasts and they're like this tall. So a deck of cards, thickness as well. And you want to make sure that you're only eating that if you're doing your meat. You don't want to overdo it. So then it's easier to spread that out. It'll feel like more chicken on kebab. Same with our veggies. We've definitely got, I think, 2 or 3 servings of vegetables here. So I'm going to stop this recording now. I hope you enjoyed this cooking demo outside for our summer barbecue. Got my dad vibes out of the way. I've got sandals and socks. I brought my Playmate cooler outside here today to keep all my things nice and cool. Got my hat on, sun protection. It was very fun. I'm going to stop the recording, but we'll feel free to chat if you've got any questions. I'm going to still be out here cooking, so let's have some conversations about any hot tips that you guys have also.